Welcome to the 15 Minutes with the Farmer podcast from Successful Farming. I'm your host, Lisa Foust Prater. My guest today is Clayton Lind. He grew up in California and didn't know anything about agriculture before moving to Iowa and going to work for a farmer. These days, he's sharing ag stories with the world through his own media company. In each episode, I have a quick 15-minute conversation with a farmer to hear their story and share their experience, expertise, and life lessons. Clayton, thank you so much for joining me today on 15 Minutes with the Farmer.
Of course, my pleasure.
You're not a native Iowan,
Nope.
But you're there now. And so tell us about your background.
So I'm originally from California. Yep, I'm one of those guys. The longer I've been in this industry, the more I've realized what a juggernaut California is as an agriculture state. I just did not grow up in that area or in that community. So I knew nothing about ag for my entire childhood. COVID hit in 2020 and happened through a couple of weird connections to end up living in Iowa. And the one job that was still open, I had some, kind of heavy-duty mechanic background, and I ended up farming on accident, more or less. And I was like, yeah, that sounds fun. I watched some videos on Cole the Corn Star and Larson Farms and all that. And I was like, I think I could do that. That looks pretty easy. It's a little fun. It was not easy. It was not something that the videos make it look a lot easier than it actually is. But with that said, I can't say I loved every day, but I look back, I loved every bit of it. It was so cool to just learn about how big and intricate this entire industry is. It seemed like every day my mind was blown, and just like the truth about farming was being shown versus all the things I had been fed just from years of living in a state like California and everything. So like it was a total world, like my whole world got flipped upside down because of just my interactions with the guy I worked for every day, working with cattle, working with crops. It was crazy. So,
I think that's what it takes to kind of get sort of the truth out there, is connections with actual farmers, And so I love it that you said that you didn't realize what all was involved, or how different things are in the Midwest than they are on the West Coast. It's interesting.
Well, and that's what got me into starting the company I run now. Was I was like, I loved farming. I loved being a farmhand, but making $12 an hour is pretty hard to make a career out of. And I love my boss to death. But it was just one of those things. There's kind of this tipping point where a farm can either afford to pay their people well, or they can barely afford to pay their people at all.
Yes.
And there's not a lot of in between in there. Yeah. So it was one of those things. It was like I knew I couldn't do it forever. I knew, hey, this wasn't going to be able to support a family one day. This wasn't going to be a long career. I live in Iowa, so it's pretty much impossible for a young guy to buy farmland right now.
So hard.
So I realized, okay, I had a background in media when I was like, I know nothing about where my food comes from, or at least I did, and now I do. And now I want to figure out, how do I share that story with people who don't know about it? And I was like, you know what? I can buy a camera, I can buy a drone, I can start a company that does marketing for ag businesses, but also we redirect a lot of our time and our energy into producing things that really don't pay us, but they do serve the purpose of sharing ag story. And that's something that we've always said, like, hey, we can be a great marketing company because ag needs some better marketing every once in a while. So so we got to the point where I was like, okay, build a company that's healthy, it's profitable, but with it being it's sole focus. This company's sole focus is to serve agriculture. That's all we're going to do. That's all I ever talk about. And right now that's media, but maybe one day in the future it'll be something different. Whatever the industry needs to help solve its problems, we want to do that. And right now that's trying to tell farmers and ranchers stories, because it's hard to get it out there. There's a lot of people who don't know, and more now than ever, people are interested. And so we want to be the people they go to for that stuff.
Right. And I love it that you are telling that story as a person who, learned it firsthand and didn't necessarily grow up with that. Because I think sometimes when farmers and ranchers tell their own story, some of them are doing such an amazing job of it, but often they don't know what people don't know. And it's hard as, someone who's grown up in it to kind of get your head around the fact that some people have never been on a farm, or that they really don't understand where their food is coming from. So the fact that you learned those things for yourself, what people don't know.
Yeah. I think we in ag really take for granted all of our terminology. Like, that's the hardest part about actually being a marketing company, is we have to know the terminology that our customers want to sell to growers, and they want to sell to ranchers. They want to sell to people who understand the terminology. But you got to kind of rewire your brain a little when you're talking to a consumer, because the consumer does not care about the highest yielding corn. What matters to them is, hey, who are you? How are you growing my food? And how is that affecting me as the consumer? And that's what people want to know. And I think we get so bogged down in trying to defend ourselves that we forget to actually, hey, what are the customers, what are the consumers actually asking? What's going on? And I think there's a certain level of like, hey, we as ag need to get better about understanding what the wider world is saying about us, not in a critical way. That I think they're just genuinely misled. I don't think it's a hostile thing for 98% of people. I think a lot of people just forget, hey, they read a news article that someone wrote that wasn't informed on, and it's not their fault. So it's our job to say, hey, how can we help repair that relationship or show you what's actually true?
And, especially because it feels like people believe everything they read. And, it's one thing to read it in a newspaper or a magazine, but, when you're just seeing things on social media and you're just taking it as truth, that is very dangerous.
It took for me actually doing it every day to understand that and see what was happening. And I learned, I was like, oh, they're not the bad guys. This is actually, this is a team effort. We are all in the same team, And so it's just, we got to talk about that more. We got to have conversations like, hey, we can do this. We can have these conversations well.
Absolutely. And it takes those farmers and ranchers being willing to have people come onto their property and, maybe it's hosting field days or whatever it is, being willing to have the conversation with people. And I have always found that they are willing to do that. If someone is coming at it from the perspective of genuine interest, wanting to have an open mind and learn. But that kind of interaction is so important. Just putting like a human face on farming and ranching. It feels like that's what changes people's minds, that it's a real person who cares about what they're doing.
Yeah. ADM has this campaign called Faces of Food. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yeah.
It's a wonderful, wonderful marketing campaign where basically they've just taken a bunch of videos and they've taken a bunch of photos and they've plastered them on billboards, on their advertising, on trucks, on all this stuff, because they wanted to literally put a face to where your food comes from. And I think it's, and I couldn't tell you how effective it's been, but I'm telling you, it makes my heart stir seeing that, because it's like, hey, that's what people actually want to see. They don't want to see corn. They don't want to see cows. They want to see the person who grew it. They want to see those people. And it stirs something in anyone who looks at it and says, man, that's another human being I can talk to.
Yeah.
We as an industry feel very disconnected from consumers, and consumers feel very disconnected from us.
Absolutely.
And so if we can start to influence, hey, what are the consumers saying about us? How can we have those conversations with the consumers? And also, let's be honest, guys, like this is a two-way street. Let's listen to the consumers. They really do want, we are in an age where people care a lot more about their health and their food than they ever have before. And you know what? We should listen. We should say, yeah, you know what? We agree too. You know why? Because we all want healthy families as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Hey, there are things we as an industry can continue to improve on and continue to grow on. And when we say, yes, we can do that, why don't you work with us and understand us more? Because guess what? We're actually all just trying to survive. We just want a good meal, okay, guys? We just want to keep eating. We don't want a famine to happen. We want to be able to all sit at our tables at night and eat with our families and say, hey, I trust where this food came from. It's delicious.
Yes.
And I'm thankful for stocked grocery stores. I'm thankful for stocked fridges and stocked cupboards.
Yes.
And we're all working towards that. And at the end of the day, also, guys, we're all just trying to make a living. It's not like we're criminals here for wanting to try to be profitable while growing food, because you know what? It is not a public office. I'm no civil servant farming,
It's a career. It's a you got to feed your family, and pay your bills, and farming's expensive.
We have come so far in the past 100 years. We look at the way we farmed 100 years ago and said, why would we ever do that? In 100 years, we're going to look at everything we're doing now and say, wow, we were so dumb. But right now we don't know that, and that's okay. That's okay.
You got to be willing to just keep learning and evolving. Adapting to the technology is so important in remaining successful. Just looking through your website and your social, you must have a wonderful team around you. I mean, the videos, the photos, it's all just so beautifully done. And I think, those kinds of images, like you're right, that people put a face with it. That's what people need to see. But when it's packaged so beautifully, it just makes it like so much more palatable to people and makes them stop and pay attention.
Yeah. I think we in ag, we haven't done ourselves, we've done ourselves a disservice in not marketing ourselves well. When I look at every other industry, ag has been known to be 10 years behind in a lot of things. That's an unfortunate connotation. We're ahead in a lot of things. We're behind in some things.
Yeah.
And when it comes to media and marketing, I say, you know what? I look at the rest of the world, every other industry, they're on top of the game with great videos, great photos, great social media. I was like, you know what? I love this industry, and we work in ag, and we want to take the greatest quality production in the world that's in every other industry, and we want to bring it into ag, because you know what? Farming's freaking cool. They deserve just as much. They deserve the best marketing just like anyone else. And so if we can do that for our customers, that allows them to look at us and say, hey, when we give our money to them, they're reinvesting in our industry.
Right.
They believe in what we do. And so every dollar spent by an OEM or a biological company or a chemical company, it's not going for me to go buy a speedboat. It's going into it's going into posting on social media, like going out and meeting farmers that I'm not going to get paid from, just to hang out, or hey, we're going to take photos, or we're going to make a documentary. Like we have all these ideas of, hey, what can we funnel our profits into that really help this industry, rather than just saying take. What can we give back to ag? Because it gives, our whole thing is we serve ag because it serves us 3 times a day. So why can't we go ahead and give back and do what we can? We have a mission, and we have things we got to get done, because you know what? We're running out of farmers and ranchers. We're running out of land. We got a lot of big problems, and we got things we have to start solving these things. And as a company, we really want to help solve those problems. We're not going to solve all of them, but we got to do. I feel a personal burden to do my part, because we need to be working towards those things. And so if we as an industry can start saying, hey, let's tackle these bigger problems. Let's meet with consumers. Let's find young people. Like let's reinvest in ag in a way that's actually going to make this the best industry on earth again. Because it's the coolest thing ever.
It is really the best.
Yeah, I could go all day about that.
And I love it. I love that what you said about, like paying it forward and giving back. So speaking of which, I saw that you were working with Farm Rescue.
Yep.
So I want to talk about that, because I have written a couple of articles on them, and I had Bill Gross, the founder, on the podcast, and he is such a wonderful person, and that organization is amazing. Mm-hmm. They are saving farms.
Yep.
And really just helping people at a time in their lives when they do not have the mental capacity to think about getting a harvest in, or planting in, or haying, or doing whatever it is, because they've had a terrible tragedy in their life.
Yep.
And they just come in and do it. And it's so amazing. So tell us about what you're working on with them.
I've known their development directors and executive directors for a few years now. And I've literally just said, hey, I really love and believe in what you guys do. Mm-hmm. You need anything, just call and we'll make it happen.
Yeah.
So, they have their office guy, Dan. He does a bunch of their media marketing. He does a phenomenal job. Yeah. But Dan, they're working in 15 something states now. And so it's Dan can't get everywhere. And so Dan can call me and say, hey, Clayton, do you guys have anyone over here that can go record a video for us or take some photos? And I'm like, heck yeah, we'll make it happen.
Oh, that's
and so
great.
we go and we do it. And then he's like, send me the bill. And I'm like, you don't get to do that. No, it's like, if I can't come volunteer or I can't donate, let us do some good stuff. Because the same way I believe in what Farm Rescue does, they are serving farmers, they are serving ranchers, they are helping in meaningful ways. And so whatever I can do to give back to them, if I had more time, if I wasn't running around the country doing my job, I would be volunteering in a tractor. Yeah. I'd be running a grain cart for sure, because I love that stuff. And so one of my goals, we actually have a meeting coming up in a few weeks. Is hey, how can we get more people to know about Farm Rescue?
Yes.
Because they have trouble finding cases. It's a matter of, we need to help. We can help more people. We just can't find them. Right. So what can we do as a marketing company and say, hey, let's find more people for you guys to help. And so I believe in what they do. Their team is phenomenal. They do world class. When they are on your farm, they are doing world class harvesting, planting. Yeah. They are not joking around. They're good at what they do.
They are doing such fantastic work, and it's great that you're helping them with that, because the more people know about that,
they all know. Anytime they need something, just give me a call and I'll do what I can. I'm not made of money and I'm not made of time, but when I got either of those, I'm going to make sure I spend more time with them.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, Clayton, you're doing such great work for agriculture, and so I'm gonna share all your links on the show notes so people can go see your work. And I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me today. It's been so fun.
Thanks for having me on, Lisa. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for listening. Please subscribe, rate, and review us wherever you listen to your podcasts. Open the latest issue of Successful Farming and visit us online at agriculture.com for more interesting features and news for your farm. Join me next week for another episode of 15 Minutes with a Farmer.